Before we ever learned to speak, we already knew how to communicate. A newborn turns its head toward warmth. A mother's eyes soften before she smiles. A stranger's shoulders tighten when fear whispers through the air. These are words, without sound, movements that carry emotion long before our lips can shape a sentence. We think communication begins when we start to talk, but psychology says otherwise. According to research from Dr. Albert Mehrabian, only 7% of communication is verbal. The rest is tone, expression, movement, and energy. Every tilt of the head, every pause, every subtle gesture is dizibidis tempedestads, embavridaster, and gestured whisper from the unconscious. These tiny details form what psychologists call nonverbal leakage. It's when the body accidentally reveals the truth that the mouth tries to hide. Someone says, "I'm fine," but their shoulders sink, their eyes flicker away, and suddenly, you know they're not fine at all. That's not magic, that's emotional intelligence, sharpened by observation. When you learn to listen to silence, you begin to hear everything. Our bodies are storytellers. Every gesture has roots, deep psychological origins shaped by fear, trust, dominance, and desire. Let's break down the human mind through 5 primal signals. They say the eyes never lie. But that's not entirely true. The eyes try to hide, but in hiding, they reveal everything. When someone looks left while speaking, they're recalling information. Look right. They're constructing or imagining. But more than direction, it's the duration that matters. Long eye contact signals confidence, even attraction. But if it feels forced, it's performance. Too short? That's discomfort or fear. Pupil dilation, micro squints, rapid blinking. These are silent Morse codes of emotion. Psychologists call these micro-expressions flashes of true feeling that last less than half a second. They can't be faked. They leak straight from the amygdala, the emotional brain, before logic catches up. To read eyes is to read the heart before it edits itself. Hands are ancient tools of honesty. Before words we use them to signal peace or threat. An open palm says, "I'm safe." Clenched fists say, "I'm ready to fight." Hidden hands, "I don't trust you." When someone touches their neck, plays with jewelry, or rubs their palms, they're soothing themselves. It's called a self-soothing gesture, a way to calm internal anxiety. Watch how a confident person uses hands gestures flow, synchronized with words. A liar's gestures come after, out of sync, because their body is trying to catch up with their story. To touch, to reach, to reveal your palms, is to say, "You can trust me." And when trust appears, connection follows. Your posture is your autobiography written in muscles. A person who slouches doesn't just look tired, their brain feels tired. The connection between the spine and emotion is biological. Amy Cuddy's studies at Harvard revealed that standing tall increases testosterone and lowers cortisol. Confidence literally starts in the body. Leaning in signals interest. Leaning away, emotional distance. Crossed arms, protection. Open chest, invitation. But here's the nuance: context matters. Crossed arms in a cold room aren't defensiveness, they're warmth. To truly read posture, you must read it in sequence. Gesture plus tone plus situation. Only then do the clues form a sentence. Psychologists often say, if you want to know the truth, watch the feet, because unlike the face, the feet don't lie. They're too far from conscious control. Feet pointed toward the door, the person wants to leave. Pointed toward you, engagement, tapping, anxiety, or impatience. In evolutionary psychology, the feet prepared for flight or fight before words ever existed. So even now, in a calm room, the body remembers danger before the mind does. Next time you're in conversation, don't just hear their words. Look at where their body wants to go. It often speaks louder than the mouth ever could. Micro-expressions are the milliseconds of truth. Happiness, anger, disgust, fear, sadness, surprise, contempt. The 7 universal emotions identified by psychologist Paul Ekman. You can't fake them. You can only catch them, if you're present enough to see them. A flash of disgust before a polite smile. A tiny smirk when someone denies guilt. A blink too long when answering a question. To the untrained eye, nothing. To the aware mind, everything. But remember, reading micro-expressions isn't for manipulation, it's for empathy. Because behind every flicker of emotion is a bell. Is a man beam breeze beam dairy. Some more bear der. Chumandan. Someone then try and breathe. Time to be understood. You might think reading minds through body language gives you power, but the truth is deeper. It gives you responsibility. To understand is to carry the weight of awareness, because when you can see the pain behind someone's smile, you can't unsee it. Empaths often burn out not because they care too little, but because they see too much. So the real mastery of body language isn't detection, it's compassion. To read someone's posture is to hear their unspoken story. To notice their eyes is to glimpse their fear. To see their hesitation is to respect their boundary. Confidence without empathy is arrogance. Empathy without boundaries is self-destruction. The balance between the two is emotional intelligence. Now that you understand the signals, here are the 3 golden laws that turn observation into insight. Never read a gesture alone. Crossed arms in winter mean cold. Avoided eye contact might mean shyness, not deceit. The brain loves shortcuts, but people are stories, not puzzles. Real readers of body language never jump to judgment. They collect data, like detectives of emotion. Only when patterns repeat do they conclude. Everyone has a normal state. That's their baseline. Some people talk with their hands and mobiles, others barely move. So before you interpret nervous gestures, first observe them in comfort. Then when their pattern shifts, that's the real clue. Change is the signal. If someone suddenly hides their hands after open gestures, something changed in their emotional state. That's the moment you've read their mind. You don't read body language to expose lies, you read it to understand pain. Because sometimes, people say I'm okay, not because they're dishonest, but because they're tired of explaining. True readers listen to bodies the way poets listen to silence, with reverence, with patience, with heart. Reading body language is not about invading minds, it's about honoring souls. When you can look beyond words, you stop reacting and start understanding. You'll notice that the loudest people are often the loneliest, that the calmest faces sometimes hide chaos, that the strongest posture often masks exhaustion. But with awareness comes gentleness. Because the moment you see someone, truly see them, you give them permission to be real. And that perhaps is the greatest form of love. Look around you. The world is speaking. Always. The barista's smile that fades too soon. The friend's laugh that sounds practiced. The stranger's eyes that linger a moment longer than usual. Every gesture is a page in a book written by emotion. You don't need to be psychic. You just need to be present. So the next time you walk into a room, don't just listen. Observe. Not to judge, but to understand. Because the art of reading body language isn't about decoding others. It's about discovering your own humanity. The truth is always there, written not in words but in the movement of the human heart.